one desires to gains weight, loses a bit of weight and all. So you should very ideally add that tab with a bit of string. The British ones would more usually a tab with buttons, I think, for the string. And so if the string is at the middle, you have to have a button in the middle, so usually it will be two on the sides there. And one on each side will be enough, unlike two for the trousers, because usually even the thick wool ones for winter will not be near as weighty as trousers, and on top of that are tight because they are knitted fabrics that do not add as much strength pulled upon the braces themselves as much wear, and also there will be no pockets to store things in them also, since there are under trousers or the equivalent of modern day boxes. They will be the undermost layer, but where the shirt will be then, because the shirt will be tucked in them, or the undershirt and the shirt will be tucked into the under trousers, and if one wears a waist cincher or corset, it should ideally be on top of the undershirt, below the shirt, and also tucked into the under trousers. But now the parts touched, in such a case, the parts touching the groin area would be the undershirt and also the shirt to some extent, because one cannot be certain the undershirt might ride up and the shirt being still tucked in, then the shirt will be touching the groin area, and so again the same problem. So it will have to be rolled up a bit, or make sure the undershirt is pulled into it, but for that one would need a pair of shirt braces, which original ones barely existed, and none of them have survived, if any existed. And I find it extremely annoying having to wear too often. So I only wear, because I wear separate under trousers, I wear the undershirt without anything to pull them down. And once I saw now, it's not do it on purpose, but my undershirt actually ran it up and it was so long. So do keep that in mind. It was very uncomfortable wearing two shirt braces, one pulling down the shirt and then another one which might have to be worn below, or no, I would say, because you would take off the undershirt first, wear them below, so then each brace of the shirt braces go over the undershirt braces, and then you tuck it all in on the trousers, which themselves have braces. There's a waistline here, an extra bulk of waistline of the under trousers, and then the socks. These socks will have to be worn over. I'm not wearing under trousers now, so that's why, because that shirt is allowed. It's useful as an under trouser, never mind. But they would actually go on top of the under trousers and then have their own sock braces, because also socks had no elasticity back then, like these. So they really have to be pulled up. And one may think that because they're pulled over under trousers, the friction of the under trouser, unlike the soft skin, shall keep them from sagging down, really a bit, but throughout the day they will still sag down, even if they are very high like here. Ideally then they should be max that length. Ergo that should be max that length, ergo that sock braces may be here, and the natural shape of the calf, if nobody has a calf like that, if they have one other disease, will stop the sock braces from really falling down here. Can't be one there, has to be one here, so ideally about that size of socks, not shorter, not longer. Whereas if one wears a union suit, all of that is so much easier. One simply wears a union suit, a corset and no, then the shirt, and then shirt stays, which are much more comfortable, which are simply a strap clipped onto the shirt tail, or both shirt tails. The best is to wear one in front, one in the two in the front, two in the back, so 4 separate straps. They each clip onto the socks, and in such a case the socks may be better, ideally, longer, above the calf socks, just below the knee, and they clip to the socks. And pull the socks, pull the shirt down, pull the socks up, and then everything is just tucked into the trousers, and a single pair of braces is needed for the trousers, not another one adding back below. Now obviously I explained the impracticalities of the union suit, we're going to do it again. And that is the reason for which ideally I want to do. For my evening wear, I have 2 union suits. My sister bringing back, I think one may be too small now, but at least one will fit. For the rest, because it is Dubai, and I cannot find union suits that have short legs and short arms. The only some of the union suits I find are extremely expensive and rare, and to date, to wear after the time period I want to do, and to look way more modern to have a short vest, and now some vests existed, but none of them had like briefs and had like an elastic waistband. People into that type of clothing know what I'm talking about, and they had nothing like that prior to at least 1910, nothing that looked remotely like that. Even there's enough in 1910, but some in 1910 began looking like similar. So that is why I do not get those. I really need the full one, and always too warm, at least the top part, even if it is a summerly cotton, knitted cotton, it's still too warm to buy. And I have undershirts I want to use, and I also purchased a long time ago all these undertrousers I need to use and get well now. So for now I'm doing that more complicated system, although I do not get anything to pull down the undershirt. I find that unuseful, as in too much things going around. I really just get it have to be more than the sock bases to pull down, the shed bases to pull down the shed. Now if one really desires to be to mix with modern antique pieces, one could is get a vintage pair of sock suspenders and wear them upside down the side. I did that for a while. It does not work very well. So if you are into remaking everything, it shall not be too difficult, I guess, to get natural rubber, to sell it on eBay, natural rubber elastics. Because they had natural rubber elastics, and make a pair of sock suspenders, because the vintage ones you find are also not as old as the 1890s, they are different. You do not find originals like that, so you have to have a different shape. And they're made out probably from a different elastic. You can still probably find these elastics and make any elasticated things in the pattern of back then you shall require. Or in other words, if you only wear the usual suit, then I would highly recommend the shirt, what I call shirt and sock blazers, as in really extravagant. People call them shirt stays. And also make them with clips, because if you starch the shirt, if you want it starched, it will not work, that system. These are modern imitation of 1920s sock blazers I wear. This will not work. It has to be a clip for starch fabrics. This is very ideal for knitted fabrics, and it works on shirts which are not starched, but like on that shirt which is thick, although it is not starched, it does not work. So clips are better. They will damage the shirt obviously, but starch damages shirt anyhow. So it does not really matter. And if one goes for the separate pieces like I do, of undershirt and undertrousers, then I ideally make only one pair of shirt blazers. By shirt blazers I mean simply blazers for a shirt. So what I do is they clip onto the thigh, ideally under the thigh, and there are 2 to 3 braces that connect the shirt, ideally 3, one that goes in the front. The best ones do not go like that, but go like that. One in the front goes here, one in the side goes here, and one in the back goes here over the butt cheek. And then also another one for here. Only make one. Then you need one for the undershirt. And then you wear the under trousers with their own pair of braces, and then the socks with their own pair of sock braces, which will not look like that, and the elastic especially with the difference, so you have to make those. And all the while, some people like if you wear a corset, and if you intend to wear very high, if you do not wear a full corset but simply a waist cincher that goes from here, they used to call them men's belts back then, and if you wear a high collared waistcoat, then what one could do is simply wear it will still be more ideal if one is wearing the union suit to still have the sock blazers, because they will really that's more for the socks, because they will work much better than sock blazers will still sag down. The only way for them absolutely not to sag down throughout the day is to tighten them crazy, which really cut off the circulation, and then it means the socks cannot be higher than these. And ideally, especially if one is like short trousers, shorter than mine, they should be higher than these, they should go over the calf. So still, get the sharp sock blazers, but if one wears a separate undertrousers and undershirt, if one is asked to wear a man's belt, not a full corset, it becomes much easier. It would only work with a full corset like it here if one has a super high collared waistcoat, which is to really wear the undershirt, wear the shirt without any blazers for the shirt and more undershirt, get out you, and then wear the man's, a lot of men do that, but wear over the shirt itself, the man's